Covered with this auto protection will not have to pay for a covered repair again. This is the auto coverage now sweeping across America at a fraction of what dealerships charge and is now available to the public by calling today. The number to call is 800-547-5262. 800-547-5262. That's 800-547-5262.
Everybody's talking at me.
My guest, Wes Vernon, Washington-based writer, veteran broadcast journalist. He writes for RenewAmerica.com, and we're talking about his article, The Midnight Knock on the Door, Coming to America. And now we're going to pick up where we left off. We're talking about the assassination of JFK, and basically there wasn't too much competition when it came to radio or television about giving you the real story like you can get today, was there, Wes?
That's right, Chuck. Back in those days, in '63, you may recall there was virtually no conservative voice in the mass media to sass back the act-alike, do-alike, think-alike mentality that prevailed on the airwaves, especially on television, and in most of the major print outlets. No talk radio, no Fox News, no Internet. You could say that the media worldview was one-sided enough to have morphed into a U.S. Pravda with little effort. You had the likes of Fulton Lewis Jr. and Paul Harvey, both on radio. Wall Street Journal editorial page was conservative then, and newspapers like the Chicago Tribune and the New York Daily News, which had once been conservative, had been steadfastly, or shall we say gradually perhaps, veering leftward, and today you wouldn't recognize them. But anyway, those few conservative outlets we did have were welcome, but they were eclipsed by the larger voices of the mighty left. But now, here we are in 2010, we have something at least approaching a better, if imperfect, balance so that we can all live happily ever after, right? Not really. There are signs of concerted efforts, as we know, to silence the conservative voices that have disrupted and impudently challenged the once mighty leftward media near monopoly. No longer are the big three able to say with confidence, that's the way it is, with no fear of asterisks or contradiction. It turns out today there's more mischief beyond the fairness doctrine thing. The Obama administration plans to resurrect the fairness doctrine, which was eliminated thanks to President Reagan at the time, back in '87. They plan to, the liberals and the Obama administration want to revive that, or some variation of it, to shut up those who dare to dissent from establishmentarian consensus. We've talked about that. I've talked about it quite a bit in my column, and Chuck, I suspect you've probably talked about it on the air quite a bit as well. The leftists long for return to an era where they could demonize middle Americans of a conservative outlook without being parodied by a Rush Limbaugh, for example, or contradicted by a Chuck Wilder, for another example. And last week, President Obama's Federal Communications FCC chairman, Julius Genachowski, announced in effect that he will attempt an end run around a court ruling limiting his authority over the Internet.
Now then, we got to repeat that, because that is the most important thing. When you start talking about an end run, here we go, almost like an end run around the Constitution. Repeat again what he did, would you please, Wes?
All right. Obama's Federal Communications chairman, Julius Genachowski, has announced, in effect, that he didn't use these words, but that's what it amounts to, Chuck. He has announced, in effect, that he will attempt an end run around a court ruling limiting his authority over the Internet. Now, just a few weeks ago, the background on this, in brief, is that a federal appeals court ruled the FCC has no authority to regulate the Internet. So Chairman Julius, by the way, the Wall Street Journal editorialized the other day on this issue, calling him the Julius Caesar of the Internet. Chairman Julius reclassified the Internet so as to facilitate a power grab at one of the newest, and most independent of all news and information outlets that we have today. So, actually, going back just to review, from the 60s Kennedy assassination on up to today's Islamist-inspired terrorist attacks, the established media have shown a remarkable proclivity to soft pedal or excuse our enemies while demonizing conservative Americans or portraying middle America as the enemy, like the Tea Party people, for example.
And let's pick up on this again in just a moment. Wes Vernon, we're talking about his article, The Midnight Knock on the Door, Coming to America. You no longer have the freedom of the speech. If the FCC can't control the Internet, well, we'll just change the ruling on it. Yes, we'll reclassify the Internet. That'll work. Just go around the court ruling. Go around the court. I am the dictator, or we shall do what we want to do. No, surely they wouldn't say that, would they?
Times are tough. High car repair bills are getting more expensive. Consider the